Okay, good morning, guys. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. It is Friday morning, the 27th of March, and it's Crashapalooza. So we'll just have some fun today with that. Let's go through some things just really quick so that we have them down. Econ today, we have University of Michigan, and then we have Fed's Daily at 10:30. I don't know that any of that matters, but we'll just do the normal. Here it is, so you know what it is thing. Snipping tool, there we go. And we'll do this. Of course, there's just going to be a ton of stuff from Iran, and that's okay. That's just how it is. You know, President Trump's going to try to pump the market at some point. That's just how it is. And we just kind of roll with those things. So what I want to cover this morning, is what's working and what's not working. So a couple of things. Number one, just Joyce, just to cover for you, no changes to the 1 minute trader. As is, 11:30. I would not run it. So if you look at the calendar, we have okay, so Monday and Tuesday are the last 2 days of the month. There's no statistical advantage to running the trader assist for the 1 minute trader the last day of the month. It either trades flat, it's had one significant up day, but it's had some nasty down days. So you improve the performance over the course of the year by just not running it the last 2 days of the month. And that's not necessarily all the algos, but that specific algo, there's no edge to running it on Monday and Tuesday. So off it goes on Monday and Tuesday. Um, and then we'll resume Wednesday, right? So today, 11:30, and next week on Wednesday, roll it back to 10:30. Okay. So next on the what's working front, right? So if you look, first I'm going to go to ES because that's been the significantly easier trade, like hands down easier trade, right? So, hey Randy, good morning, welcome. So if you look at ES, right? Randy, do you have this chart for your manual trading? Did you download it yesterday? If you'll look around 8:30 yesterday morning, you'll see it. You'll see I put a file. It's called ed.es. And then will you give me a time we can get together today so we can get the 1 minute trader installed? But it's at 8:24 a.m. yesterday, Randy. You should be able to with getting the your quotes are still delayed. Is that correct? And what did can you just message me what your brokerage firm said? And then also message, so that's a legitimate delayed quote thing from Sierra Chart. Message them as well if they haven't, if you're okay with that, and say, hey, I'm getting a constant delay from Teton. Please help me resolve this. Okay, great, great. Okay, perfect. So um, if you look at the chart, right? I'm gonna go to yesterday, or even look overnight, right? So the 8 tick, and even in this range, the 10 tick, right? So I'm going to show you something. What you want to adjust to is having the fewest trades with the highest accuracy, right? So watch, right click, duplicate chart. I'm going to change this to a 10 tick, okay? Because what I want is less trades, believe it or not, with better follow through, right? So I know it sounds odd coming from me, but if I put this on a 10 tick, how many days do I have on this chart? I have so many charts open. Well, we'll just give it a second, but 10 days shouldn't take it very long. So if you'll look at this, right? So 10 tick slows it down even more. So I'm going to show you what it looks like. What I want is I want to get the trades that have the fewest number of stops and the easiest ability to get a stretch out of them, right? So here's yesterday, right? So I'm going to skip, right? I'm going to skip the first half hour through this, right? So now go look at the chart setups, right? So I already know I'm biased to the short side, right? And now I want to look at what trades. I'm going to compare this to the 8 tick, right? But it's the same thing. I'm just pushing it up a little bit. So what I get the same question from everyone, right? So here's a stop at 947, right? Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with the stop. But what people are noticing is, hey, if I just get the no supply, no demand, there's your short right there. Obviously, we were short biased, right? This starts at 9 o'clock, so this is actually your first trade right here, and it just slows it down. So short, short, no short here. There was one on the 8 tick, but it didn't show up here, right? And then as you're coming down, if you're going to try to fight the contra, right? So stop, no trade here. There was one on the 8 tick, right? Long, and if you're not counting them, I was speaking to someone this morning. Hold on a sec. Oh, Joyce, I don't know what you hit on that. Close it and reopen it. Tell me what it is. Did you update? I have no idea, my dear. It's still firing correctly, by the way. I have no idea what that is. Did you click something? Close chart and hit do not save chart book. When it says save chart book, hit no and reopen it. That's what I would do. Okay? I can't fix that right now. I can fix it later. We have till 11:30. I'll have time after 10:30 to fix that for you. Okay? Oh, hold on. Okay, so as we're coming down, sorry guys, I got distracted, right? Long, long. Okay, notice you're fighting the trend, right? We're clearly trend down through here, right? And so two things are happening that are valid concerns. You're like, well, Simon, I wouldn't have taken this because it wasn't at the top of the channel. That's fine. That's just a trading call. That was when we were already starting to roll over. So you already know the pressure was on you yesterday if you were trying to go long into the bottom there. So you know you're going to skate, right? Like there's no upside pressure to the market right now, right? You're really hoping it'll run out. So that's what your trades look like to the short side, and that 10 tick, right, gave you a pretty clean read as to where to grab the trade. As a matter of fact, after hours, it gave you another pretty clean read um, in there. But so now compare that to the 8 tick. Sorry, so that's 10. This is 8, right? So I'm going to go through the same period. And there's two things that I'm doing there. First of all, I'm using this as a guide to also know when to press my NQ, because if I can get it set up to the downside while the market's weak and it's the opposite to the long side, it's probably going to follow through, right? So if you look at the 8 tick, it just depends on your nervous system and what you're looking for, right? So for me, I'm all right with the 8 tick, but if you want to slow it down, this is how you slow it down. So this is how your day looked yesterday, right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to take off that 8 tick because I have too many charts open already. I'm just going to stay on the 8 today. It doesn't bother me, but if you want to slow it down, that's how you slow it down. So there we go. So now look at your trades. We're going to go to after 9 o'clock, right? So here's your trades after 9 a.m. Okay. Um, Short. This was right at 9 o'clock. I don't know if it was before or after, but I think that's before 9 a.m. So there's trade one, right? Here's trade two. Here's trade three, right? Now it rolls over to the downside. You can clearly see it goes into we're already down and it's grinding down to begin with. It's rolled up from the trend down, right? We did a roughly a 50-60 off this high over here. And now we're sitting over here, and now we've started to roll down again, inverse supernova, right? So if you take these trades, like I think I took one somewhere in here, and I took a 1 point stop. I think it was this one. Either I took this, then I took this, but somewhere in here I got stopped, right? But you know, if you're taking this trade, you're working against the trend, right? So now follow. If you're looking for the short and you want to trade in the direction of, right? You want to do two things. You want to try to get to the mid or the high end of the channel. Does it work down low? Yeah, it can, but I want to kind of line it up so that it's okay, let me restate this. 3 bars up makes your life a lot easier. If you wait for a minimum of 2, but preferably 3 bars up in a row, your life gets a lot easier. So if you're sitting there and you're just hunting the trade, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. The arrow indicates the delta push, the no supply, no demand. And then if you get an algo on the turn, all the better. You don't have to have the algo on the turn, but all the better. That trade right there, right, rolled you from 65.77 all the way down to 65.35. Now, why do I say that? Why? Because everyone knows I don't know, often ride the trade to the downside. Um, First of all, Trump just finished speaking there, I believe. Can't swear to it. He talked forever, right? Number one. Number two, you already in a downtrend, in a down market that's showing not very much signs of resiliency, and Trump just spent 3 hours trying to pump the market and failed, right? So that's a side consideration, but it is important to put into your calculation, right? So now as we're rolling down, right? I can fight the contra. I can prove to you I can trade at contra and get out profitably. But why wouldn't I just go 1, 2, 3 up, right? And take those trades to the downside. And I'm not going to discuss stacking, but you could have stacked those trades quite easily. Why trade anything else against that yesterday? Yesterday specifically, right? Because the market was showing no ability to lift, right? So all I wanted was the ability to see it lift 3 bars, get the delta stuffed, and roll to the downside. Also, when you see this on ES, which for us is a big bar, that 8 tick, right? Or on the 10 tick, it also tells you can go over at that same time frame to NQ. And if you get an algo to the downside, a square in particular, right? Or a wider green bar on the turn, you probably have the momentum going with you because most of the time, especially in markets like this, those two are going to match up. Okay, next. As I said, if you look at the day before and the day after, right? When you go through, how would have you known we were trading lower? Okay, so let's just discuss that really quick. First hour low, Globex low, right? 5 minute 200, 1 minute 200. When we are rolling, so to answer your question, if you're going to figure out, hey, when do we really get kiboshed, right? When do we really get kiboshed? When does this thing roll hard to the downside? We're below, we're below first hour low. We are now this got all delayed because Trump was speaking, right? But we're below first hour low, Globex low, and usually we're below prior day's low as well. And then once we get underneath all three of those, we don't get back above. And that's what categorized the entire afternoon yesterday on this roll to the downside. That's that's what that looked like. So when you're what I find where people are having difficulty with their trading, right? You'll notice when we're above that first hour low, see how the springs back up are pretty solid, but once we get underneath, they get really shallow, right? If you can make the distinction between those two and emotionally adjust. Now, here's where it gets tricky. 6 months ago, right? What would happen? We'd get underneath here, and underneath all this, most of the time, because we're in an up market, we would exhaust there and get back above, right? And this is the part where people are having difficulty making a clear distinction. We're in a different market now. We're in a down market, and this is why I say with the shorts are easier once the market is broken down versus trying to get them off the top. If you try, you can short a weak market when it's down after it counter rotates in a weak market. But in a strong market, what happens is if you start shorting these counter rotations, you end up getting trapped like this, and you get caught on the V on the right side of the trade. So this was a Trump pump right here that came right at the close. Okay, that's what that was. And but usually this happens organically, right, in an up market, and that's the distinction between the two. And, right, when we are in consolidation, see how the 200 there is angled down, but if you look at the prior day, right, which this was Wednesday, see how that 200 is almost flat? And then look at the difference in the trading, right? You would go, oh, open drive lower right here, right? So for me, I would go, ooh, that's really going to go down, right? If I don't take a step back and analyze it. But I don't make it underneath Globex low. As a matter of fact, I respond from Globex low and do a 62 retrace all the way back up. Why? No one's underwater yet here, right? All it did is came down, and I think, I don't know why I don't have prior day's low marked off on this, but it's somewhere over here. Here's prior day's low sitting right over here. So when you look at this, right, we're not underneath prior day's low. The 200's trading sideways, and even though we're underneath the 5 minute and 1 minute 200 period and VWAP, we're not underneath Globex low, right? And then notice it's trading sideways. So now you come over here, right, and you look. So what's the rule? This establishes the low for the first half hour. So everyone that's looking for the trap, right, you break the first hour low, you don't break the prior day's low, and then you could say here, hey, we're going to go lower, right? We've broken the low, right? And what would you want? This is the distinction between yesterday and today. It won't make it on a strong down day. It will not make it back above that Globex low. It'll hold. Instead, what happened? Made it back above Globex low, and Globex low became support. It's just a matter of does it do it or not. And if you'll notice over here, right, see how you get no signal on ES to short? Now look at yesterday. Same market, right? Same market. First of all, it gets underneath prior day's low, but more importantly, it gets underneath Globex low, first hour low. Then what does it do? Creeps up 3 in a row. You'll notice the prior day, you don't get the delta stuffed and rejected. You don't get a key algo or something that would tell you, hey, this is exhausted. And that's why that 1152 was so key. And what you do there, right? So that's a picture of how it worked, right? So now you can go back, Globex low prints on that chart every time, and go look every time we break below Globex low and I go for this trade and I say it's just going to cascade, right? I can look for that exact setup and see how many times does that set up, right? And then that tells you two things. Hey, we've gotten stuck underneath Globex low and first hour low. Now I know all my reversal signals. This is the reversal signals that occurred once you're underneath. One, double square, stuffed. And then this is all of this is into the last hour, but and then right down here, and then obviously right down here. I don't think anyone's gonna be trading on those last two, maybe that 1403, right? But what you know now is that until you go at least supernova on that chart, your longs are gonna have a really hard time, and your shorts are gonna have an easier time working in that condition. So now you have a model that you can replicate when you're back in that scenario. The other thing is to be very careful of, right? I am the most my mic has a bad deal of dropping from Bluetooth. So the first thing you know is if you're trying to counter, right? I'm the first one that goes, oh, they're going to find responsive buyers. Like we were somewhere in there, there was support, right? Like I read a tweet yesterday from a guy who's a pretty good trader, actually. I've seen him make some nice calls, right? He's like, oh, I'm buying ODTE calls. And he made that statement at 12 o'clock, right? He made that statement at 12 o'clock. And it doesn't take much for me, from someone to suggest that we're long, for me to extrapolate in my mind, oh, what we're going to do is they're going to find support. We're going to get a strong algo and it's going to turn and it's going to run. And then the next thing I know is I'm in trades and usually off process if I do that, right? So the next thing, and I was talking to my wife, what I did, I knew yesterday could be a really big day. I think today could be a really big day. What I did on every single trade that I took in ES is I made sure I wrote down, is there an arrow? Is there a no supply, no demand bar? And if there wasn't, I didn't touch ES. That was my requirement. And then when I finished my trade, wherever I covered it, I wrote down, because then what happens is, right? So let's say you shorted here and let's say you covered here, right? and then you see it starting to roll back down. And so what I do is I go, oh, I covered too early. I know people do this. I'm going to reshort here, right? And that worked out yesterday, but most of the time it will not work out, right? So what I wrote down is, in order to go short again, this is what I need. And I took a picture with my camera and I said, I need this again. Now, would it lead, let's say that it happened here. Let's say I covered here and thought we were going to rebound, right? And I wrote, in order to short again, I need this algo to print. Well, if you'll notice, all the way through this down, right, you didn't get another delta surge, no supply, no demand bar to get the roll to the downside, right? Now, luckily I had a short on and I sat in it, right? And I sat in it from here and here, right? And I got very lucky and I actually ignored my reversal bars in the afternoon and it just got lucky. That's it, right? But but what that kept me from doing all day long was forcing my trades and it kept me calm. And the same rule applies, right? The same rule applies to NQ. So if I go look at NQ on the 32 tick, which is the preferred one for manual trading, this is crazy. Hold on. What do I want? Square on the turn, right? That's specifically, I don't know why this chart's so crazy. It is XY continuous access. That's why. Oh, if I can just bring this chart in. Sorry, guys. There we go. So what did I want on NQ? Outside of looking at ES for when it's stuffed, you'll see the delta surges there. But what do I want primarily? I want 3 bars up and square on the turn. And it was actually kind of hard to come by on the 24 tick yesterday. But where did it show up? Right where you wanted it to, right? Right where you wanted it to. And if you'll notice, right, the square on the turn, like I said, if I'm going to make a mistake, right, if I'm going to make a mistake, I am going to make a mistake on a square on the turn, right? And so that means if I'm impulsive, right, and I can't, it it sounds weird when you're not under stress, but sometimes when you're under stress, you can't put it all together, right? But everyone that I've spoken to can go, I can take a square on the turn. Let me explain why that's important, right? Let's say you totally misread yesterday's situation and thought we were going up and you took squares on the turn or just the squares, right? You were able to, not perfectly, but you were able to escape. There's a stop. You can escape. You can escape. You can escape. You can now, does it make you a trading freakazoid? It does, right? You're going to be in and out and all over the place. But at least it gives you that time where it goes 1 or 2 bars in your favor, right? And when I talk to people, right, I go, take the score on the turn. But then when I go, show me your trading, the trading isn't the score on the turn. It isn't after 3 bars up, right? And it's something else, right? So when you're starting to separate your emotion from being technical in your entry, go, okay, the 3 bars overwhelms me. Well, then just go to, can I just take the square on the turn, right? Can I just take the square on the turn? Or take your happy self over to ES when the range is this volatile and this wide and trade ES is my suggestion, right? So my trade plan today is quite simple. On NQ, I am looking for square on the turn. Oh, what does work in NQ, by the way, as well is the delta surge stuff. I'm not going to throw the no supply, no demands till I get a chance to rework it because it just makes it a Fruit Loop deal and no one can read it, right? So I'll put the no supply, no demands, but I'm going to have to figure out another way to present it because if I put it on there, there's going to be 50 million billion colors and it's just too much for most people, okay? So the other trade, I forgot to mention it, is on NQ, on the 32 tick. I'll go through it real quick. Delta surge stuffed. That, that, that. But I haven't been running that trade, even though that's an old algo, I haven't been running it very much in the room, but it works very well. Now, can it stop you? Yes, stop. Oops, stop right there. Um, Short. Probably a stop there if you took that, right? Short. Again, 3 bars up helps significantly. Long, again, I wouldn't have been looking long, but if you're just being purely mechanical, right? And that's the end of the day. I mean, I don't think anyone was trying to trade the last half hour yesterday, right? But if you did, that was a stop. Um, and that's what I'm working on today. That's my approach. Take a deep breath. The first goal of these markets is to survive. We're doing that. I haven't heard most people I've heard from are thriving, right? I have not, no one has messaged me going, I am getting the daylights blown out of me. Not a single person, not one, okay? Which is great. Some people are doing very, very well, right? And some people are struggling with the range and the size and all those things and their normal stuff, but they're not getting annihilated, right? This is my kind of environment. I do great in this environment. Okay. So I love this. The 1 minute algo is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. Okay. We turn it on when we turn it on for very specific reasons. And in your manual trading, if you have the trader assistant, you need a specific entry and your problem is over clicking, right? Tell me what you need and I will get it done for you as long as it's already in our palette of what's available, right? And that's my 2 cents. Does anyone have any questions? I am skipping the first half hour completely, right? I don't know if we're going to go straight up, straight down, and it doesn't matter. We're down 202 on NQ, we're down 42 on ES, and I will pick up the pieces after 9 or 9:15, right? I expect order flow today, right? I will expect order flow. I expect thin markets, and don't be shocked if you get some slippage on your fills, and if it just on the outside chance we have some kind of flash crash. Okay, here's what you do: turn off your machine and walk away. I was there. I traded the day of the flash crash in 2011 or what it was, and it was untradeable. I'm telling you, the spreads on NQ went to 70, 100 points. You will wipe out your account. If all of a sudden, if all of a sudden you get a market order that gets slipped by 15 or 20 or 30 points, right, on a market order, don't try to recover it. That is way out of the norm, right? Way out of the norm. Stop. Okay? Stop immediately, set a timer for 20 minutes, right? And catch your breath. There's not been a day, a week, a year, or a month where if you had a bad day, a bad fill, a bad execution, where the next day didn't provide an opportunity. Okay? Not one. What most people's reaction is to a bad fill is to try to make it up right away. And I would encourage you to go, I don't have to make it up right away. Absorb it, right? Absorb the suck, right? And then go look whether the environment is appropriate for you to recover any money. The likelihood of that happening is very, very low. Okay. But it can happen because it's happened before, right? So that's my 2 cents. And, you know, we're in the muck now. Everyone's talking about how untradeable this is. I think it's very tradable and I think it's great. Personally, I wish the markets were like this all the time. So that's my 2 cents. Any questions, guys? Oh, I didn't even cover structure. There's not much point, but here, just really quick. Here's the 240 on ES, right? Still valid. You'll see we're potential double bottom there, right? We just took out the low. So upside, still very possible. What will that look like? Above first hour high, above the opening print. That's an important point when you're getting hard to the downside, right? Lack of inverse supernova, above the 5-minute 200, above the 1-minute 200, above Globex high, above prior day's high is going to be a pretty big reach, right? But above Globex high, above prior days, above the 5-minute, 1-minute 200, and above the first hour high. Those are your clues, and then also above um, value area high from at least overnight. Even value area high is pretty high up there on the prior day. Okay. We'll hang out for the first on YouTube for the first half hour, and then I'm gonna go make myself a cup of coffee, and then we'll see who's who in the zoo in just a couple of minutes, right? So that's my 2 cents. I want you all to succeed. That's the most important thing to me. I'll talk to you in a little bit. Let's see, they try to trap it back above Globex low. This is why I said you can just skip the first half hour and still be fine. Just below London low. That's also Globex low. London low is Globex low. And there's prior day's low. All the way up there. So we're opening up below the 5-minute 200, 1-minute 200. We're below Globex low, and obviously we haven't established first hour low. And oh, supernova, right? Impulse move. You'd look for, if we're going to reverse, a 1 or 200 point, 200, 300 point NQ reversal would be one clue that's not driven by a Trump pump, right? Disable this. Turn that back on at 11:30. And we have the market. Let's see. Oil's up, not a shock. ES is down 30, NQ down 140. Nothing horrible. And we'll just kind of see where it goes from there. Again, I'm primarily focused on the 32 tick, not the 24 tick. Too fast, right? I'm going to minimize the 24 tick. See, it's a little bit bigger. Move it on over. Make this bigger. And make this bigger. Randy, I'm sending you a file. There's the 1 minute trader for you. You need to be on Sierra chart 2875. There's Delta Surge stuffed on NQ on the 32 tick. And now this is backside test to Globex low. We'll see what they do there. And just keeping up with the Delta Surge on ES with a no supply, no demand right there. I'm not suggesting you should be trading in the first half hour. I'm just pointing out where they show up so that you can develop a mental rhythm with them. ES back underneath Globex low. Not moving very fast like you'd think we'd be. Trying to get it back. NQ's holding Globex low. It's a perfect condition to trap bears when you think about it. Everything is so bearish that everyone wants to short the open, right? So there's that. kind of cool that we're slow. Again, the up doesn't come as a shock at all. And we are in supernova to the upside. So if you're trading Dan's method, 3 bars back, then reversal bar, preferably 3 in a row. There's blue square down underneath on the ES 8 tick right here. Again, I'm not trading right now. I'm just waiting till we clear the econ, but it's there. Again, you're in supernova, so 3 bars back, engulfing bar up, or algo up would be a reasonable assumption to trade. There's the test of Globex. No idea what's giving the pushback, but doesn't really matter. Lobeck's low coming up. New low of the day in Q. Not a yes. Not yet. Somebody found the sell button. New low day. Square on the turn on ES is I gave it to you, which is fine. Again, I'm not interested in bottom fishing this. I just let them do what they got to do. The supernova is obviously broken there, and you're heading in 5 minutes to econ. Just remember, you don't have to rush at first. There's going to be press conferences. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, get overdone one way or the other, and they will slingshot it back because shorts get overcommitted, short of just straight down crash, right? In which case, if you're worried about that, that's a different story. I'm not. Down 300 on NQ, 64 on ES. NQ ahead of ES percentage-wise. Still within the normal range of up, down on a day. Nothing exceptional here. Pretty clunky on the liquidity. Big round number here too on NQ. Thank you, Bill. All I'm doing is highlighting where the algos are firing. I'm still trying to get a sense of what we're trying to do here. As Bill's pointed out, we're into a bigger support area. But still underneath Globex low, underneath all those major areas, right? But they're trying. Give them credit for that. When you're getting so many signals, like right in a tight little area, it tells you that they're duking it out, right? They're trying to figure out which way they want to take it, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Just let them resolve however they're going to resolve this, unless you're certain they're not going to lift it, in which case, do what you got to do, right? Square down, almost on NQ, but not quite. And we are in consolidation zone. These bars should be giving you great extensions right away. So you can just tell they're absorbing the selling down here is what's going on. That they can't get a lift, but they're absorbing the selling so far, which is fine. Coming back for a retest of first hour low on ES. No significant lift, even though they try to absorb the selling there. So remember, those buyers will flip sellers if they break them. If. That's a big if. And we've got time, right? You know you're going to get news announcements today. And again, the pattern we want is 3 bars and algo if you want to be the most restrictive on your entries and not having to scramble on stops and things like of this nature. It's still early in the day too. If you wanted the short, this was your short entry. Whoa, what happened to my screen? 1 second. There we go. Wanted the long, that was your long entry, that was your long entry. Something for everybody. Obviously, short is preferable. And then there's your down square 1, down square 2. This is the only one on 3 bars up in terms of the strictest interpretation of that. And we're just chopping, which is all right. So see how we're not moving right now, and see how yesterday afternoon we were moving? Wait till it loosens up if you need that. Otherwise, you have to scalp through this. It's chop, right? As Bill pointed out, we're into support. Markets do go up in bear markets, right? If you're in a bear market, markets can rally and they can be quite vicious, right? It's important that you tie your PA to your performance and the extensions that you're looking for. We are in supernova to the upside on NQ 32 tick. And when you see these firing in succession like this, to me, that's just let them resolve what they're going to do. They're fighting it out. So far, the low is held on NQ. The logical target is up to Globex low, VWAP, 1 minute 200, and first hour high if they're going to rally it. And if what you're thinking doesn't align with the algo, which is going to cause you to trade it poorly, just wait till it does align with what you're looking for. But don't overtrade. Do not. And there's no need to. Again, the lift isn't surprising. You get everyone thinking we're going to go to zero today, and the market usually doesn't make it easy, right? So you see where the longs would have set up, you see where the shorts would have set up, and we're in supernova to the upside, right? So markets go up and down. I'm neither long nor short. I'm watching and seeing what's happening. I want to trade when if I have a clear idea of what the market's doing, or when I see it responding in a way that makes sense. What I don't want to do is get bearish at the bottom, like down there, right? And I want to be able to modulate my targets for my manual trading. My automatic trading is my automatic trading. So that is what I am doing. It's Friday. Just let it develop would be my suggestion. There's a Delta stuffed on the 32 tick on NQ. I didn't see it, nor did I take it, but I will take it now if they'll give it to me. I got filled at, I can't read that, 41, and I'm going to put a 30-point stop on that. And it may stop if I am wrong. Well, I'm not wrong. I'm taking the algo. So wrong is the wrong word, but it may stop, right? We are grinding up. I wish it were going faster. It'd be nice if it would just flush, but it may not. And I can live with that. If I get stopped, my next entry will also be on an on-process trade. Right? I will not go off that process. Man, it's so slow all of a sudden. I hate this, but that's all right. Back to flat. Targeting 20 down. I have no idea if I can get it, but I'm targeting 20 down. First scale, which would be 21. Got my 21. You can now move your stop to break even or net minus 20 for break even trade. Again, my entry was this Delta stuffed. which I mentioned before the open. That was one of the trades I was looking for. I'm going to scale down to quarter size now at 95. I got a little bit better feel than that. Stop to break even on balance, and we'll see what we see. So I have just a few contracts left. If and I get an opposite algo the other way, I will flatten it. Did the trade make sense to everybody, and was it congruent with what I said before to the market? Great. Did you take it, Nate? Nice job. Good job, Tasia. Tasia, I haven't seen you in the room a couple days. The 1 minute algo goes on at 11:30. There's no statistical advantage to running the algo on the last 2 days of the month over the last 9 months, roughly. Oh, okay. Cool. And then so Monday and Tuesday, 1 minute algo off, and then resume Wednesday at 10:30. That's awesome. You've just been quiet. The potential delta stuffed and the zipper in both NQ and DS. This pace doesn't um, this pace doesn't benefit me. That'd be a good reason to cover that short. I'm just going to let the trailer ride and see what I get. But the pace does not suit my style. We're still below Globex low. Getting above Globex low and then getting long setups would be pretty enticing for me to press longs. Yes, it is. It's not growth. It's regression now. It's now the regression stocks instead of the growth stocks. That is the truth. Just manual. I'm running it at 11:30 today to 2, Brian. Taking off Monday and Tuesday, the last 2 days of the month. Um, um, last 2 days of the month don't show a significant advantage long and have the potential for drawdown and would have improved your numbers over the course of the last 9 months if you just didn't trade the last 2 days. You gave up one big day, but you surrendered a bunch of mediocre days to somewhat. I mean, the thing doesn't really get destroyed, but to a out of the norm downside day. You're Bill and I both have the same opinion that you can skip the last 2 days of the month, and so I'll turn it back on Wednesday at 10:30. But normal trading other than that on Monday and Tuesday. It's just in reference to the data from the algo. I missed the ES8 tick. I missed that because I was yapping. 3 bars up, Delta stuffed. But otherwise, that's in my wheelhouse for a trade. So far, so your entry on that would have been roughly 68. So you got 68 to 62 so far on that. I think the ideal thing there is scale half at 4, maybe stop to break even. Long term, the best strategy on that ES trade I think is scale 4, move stop to -4, and let it rip because ES can grind in one direction for a long time, like target 2030 on your trailers and just absorb the break even. Those are best done if you're doing them in one of those funding accounts. It's best done with an end of day drawdown, not intraday drawdown, and cash, obviously. So right now you'd argue balance consolidation in a downtrending market. That's fine, Tasia. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it doesn't work every time, but it works enough of the time to keep you on the safe side of happy. That's what I would say. And mostly just stay relaxed. Like, you know, so what could cause the market to pump? The obvious thing is the Fed speaker, either get it overshot to the downside or pump it up and reset up the shorts, right? And that occurs at 10:30. Well, usually have the White House pressers that can move the market. Midday, although they're moving the market, has been less and less. So 10 o'clock, Barkin, that's in 30 minutes. So, and then 10:30 daily and 10:30 Paulson. Then ECB's Shable. So maybe they can get the market to move away from where it's at to give us setups. Otherwise, it's trading pretty efficiently, net net. Slow and grindy still, guys. Just relax. Hey, guys on YouTube, thanks for joining us this morning.